All right, so you're buried in proposals. RFQs are stacking up. Maybe even saw one of those sources sought notices. And you're thinking, is it even worth bidding on this?
Hmm.
It's a question that anyone in federal contracting knows all too well.
Yeah, it's a question that can really make or break your business. And it's the exact question that we're going to be tackling in this deep dive. We're looking at a really interesting YouTube discussion between a government sales expert, Eileen, and a veteran GSA consultant, Mike. And they're talking about the strategies behind those really important bid-no-bid decisions.
And it's not just about winning. It's about winning smart. I mean, think about all the resources that go into crafting a proposal. That's a serious investment.
Oh, absolutely. And Eileen really brings that point home right away. She emphasizes how costly it can be to chase every opportunity, especially without a strategic approach.
Yeah, and she uses a really great example to kind of drive that point home. She talks about this green roof bid in Ogden, Utah. Her company's project manager was totally convinced that it was a perfect fit. But Eileen wasn't so sure. What made her hesitate?
Well, a few things. First, the walkthrough is scheduled for December 24th. I mean, who does a walkthrough on Christmas Eve? It just seemed like a sign that the agency wasn't really serious about a competitive process.
Yeah, that's a pretty big red flag.
Right. And then, to make things even more suspicious, nobody else showed up for the walkthrough.
So what happened? Did they win the bid?
Nope. And here's the kicker. The winning company was called Ogden, Utah Roofing.
Wow. Talk about an inside track. So what's the lesson here? I mean, besides avoiding walkthroughs on holidays?
The big takeaway is that sometimes the perfect opportunity isn't so perfect after all. You really have to look beyond the surface and research the competitive landscape. Are there signs of favoritism? Do you have a realistic chance of winning? Those are questions you need to ask before you even start investing your time and resources.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of a potential opportunity. But taking a step back and doing your due diligence is essential.
Exactly. Now, you mentioned RFQs earlier, and Eileen spends a good amount of time explaining all the different types of solicitations and why it's so important to understand what each one entails. You've got your RFPs, your RFQs, simplified acquisitions, sole source contracts, sources sought notices. It's like a whole alphabet soup of government contracting jargon.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming,
Yeah.
especially if you're new to the game.
Right. And the thing is, even seasoned contractors sometimes make the mistake of assuming that one type of solicitation is better than another.
Like if you have a GSA schedule, you're guaranteed to win contracts.
Exactly. Having a GSA schedule is great. It gets your foot in the door, but it's not a guarantee. You still need to be strategic about which RFQs you respond to and understand the level of effort involved.
So how do we start getting strategic about these bid-no-bid decisions? Is there a framework we can use?
Eileen actually provides a really great framework. It's a 20-question checklist, and it's designed to help you analyze opportunities from all angles before you commit to a bid.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's dive into those questions. What are some of the key areas they cover?
Well, the first set of questions focuses on customer insight. Do you know anyone at the agency? Have you had conversations with the end users before the bid was even released? These questions are really about gauging your existing relationships and your understanding of the customer's needs. It's all about laying the groundwork.
That makes sense. It's not just about responding to a piece of paper. It's about understanding the people behind the bid. What else does the checklist cover?
Well, then Eileen kind of moves into these questions that encourage you to be a bid detective, really digging in, looking for those hidden clues in the bid documents themselves.
Oh, so really reading between the lines, looking for those subtle hints.
Yeah.
What kind of clues are we talking about here?
Okay, well, for example, she suggests looking at the weighting of past performance. So if past performance is really heavily weighted, and you don't have a strong track record with that agency, well, that could be a sign that you're facing a pretty steep uphill battle.
So it's all about understanding the evaluation criteria.
Yeah.
And how you stack up against the competition.
Exactly. She also talks about analyzing the labor categories that are outlined in the bid. So do those categories really align with the skills and experience of your team? If not, it could be a signal that the agency has a very specific type of company in mind.
It sounds like these questions are all about helping you assess your chances and being realistic before you even commit to writing the proposal. What else should we be looking out for?
Well, Eileen even suggests looking for signs that there might be an incumbent lurking. So maybe the language in the bid seems tailored to a particular company's approach, or the scope of work aligns perfectly with a project that the agency is already working on. These could be indications that the competition is going to be a lot tougher than it appears.
So it's really about reading between the lines, Understanding those unspoken dynamics of the bidding process. It's like a whole other layer of strategy.
Exactly. And then finally, Eileen brings it all back down to earth with this set of questions about the true value of the opportunity. So she wants you to think about your real investment, your staff time, proposal writing costs, everything, and weigh that against the potential profit. Is it really worth it?
Yeah, it can be easy to get swept away by the potential of a big contract. But if the cost outweighs the benefits, it might be better to walk away.
Absolutely. Sometimes saying no is the smartest business decision you can make. Now, Eileen brings up this really interesting concept. She calls them losing bids.
Losing bids. That sounds a little counterintuitive. Why would you intentionally write a proposal that you know you're not going to win?
Well, it's all about playing the long game and building relationships. So she shares this story about 3 rooftop contracts to kind of illustrate this idea. So there was a major rooftop contract in downtown Minneapolis, and her company really wanted to win this one. But before that opportunity came up, there were 2 smaller rooftop bids in less desirable locations, Fargo and Duluth. And Eileen suspected that the contracting officer really needed 3 bids for her files.
Oh, I see where this is going. So she decided to bid on those smaller projects, even though she didn't expect to win, just as a way to build a relationship with the contracting officer.
Exactly. So she provided valuable feedback on the bid documents, demonstrated her company's expertise, and essentially used those smaller bids as a way to kind of audition for that bigger opportunity in Minneapolis.
And did it work? Did they win the Minneapolis contract?
They did. By strategically losing those earlier bids, they positioned themselves as a reliable and responsive partner, which ultimately helped them secure the contract they really wanted.
So sometimes the goal isn't just winning the immediate bid. It's about making those strategic moves that set you up for future success.
Exactly. It's about understanding the contracting officer's needs and motivations, and building a relationship based on trust and a genuine desire to help. Now, Mike chimes in with a story from his early days in the tech world, and he talks about the database wars of the 1980s.
Database wars. That sounds intense. What were those all about?
Well, it was this time of really fierce competition in the tech industry. Companies were vying for these lucrative government contracts. Mike was working for this database software company, and they were trying to land this massive contract with Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And there were 5 different teams competing for this contract. And Mike's company was actually on all 5 teams.
Wait, so they were competing against themselves?
In a way, yes, but their goal wasn't necessarily to win all 5 contracts. It was to make sure they were in the running for the right opportunities and increase their chances of winning at least one.
So it's a little bit like hedging your bets, spreading your resources across multiple opportunities to maximize your chances of success.
That's exactly what it is. Mike calls it hedging your bets. You know, sometimes you don't need to win every battle to win the war.
This is kind of reminding me of Eileen's point about understanding the different types of solicitations. Maybe sometimes you go all in on an RFP, but for other opportunities, maybe a simpler RFQ through your GSA schedule is the smarter play.
It's all about aligning your bidding strategy with your overall business goals and understanding the nuances of the government contracting landscape.
Now, I want to go back to something that Eileen said earlier about tailoring your proposal to the customer's needs. And it reminded me of this concept I've heard about, the win theme.
Yes, the win theme. That's an important one. It's the one compelling reason why the customer should choose you. And Eileen uses this great analogy to explain it. Baking a cake.
Ooh, I love analogies. Tell me more.
All right, so imagine the bid document says they want a cake. You wouldn't just start baking any old cake, right?
Of course not. You would want to know the details. What's the occasion? How many people are they serving? What flavors do they like? You want to make sure you're baking the right cake for the job.
Exactly. It's the same with government bids. You need to understand the specific needs and preferences of your customer to create a winning proposal. And Eileen gives this great example of a medical equipment manufacturer. They had this product with all these unique features, but instead of just listing all the features in their proposal, they took a more strategic approach.
So what did they do? How did they differentiate themselves?
Well, they held these pre-bid meetings with the customer to really understand what mattered most to them, what were their pain points, what were they looking for in a solution, and then they crafted their proposal to highlight the specific features. That addressed the customer's top priorities.
So they tailored their message, their win theme,
to what the customer truly valued. Smart move.
Absolutely. It's not about boasting about everything you can do. It's about demonstrating how your capabilities align with the customer's specific needs. Now, think about all of this in the context of your bid-no-bid decisions.
It seems like we can apply these concepts to every stage of the process. Even before we open the bid documents, we need to be thinking critically about the opportunity. Do our capabilities really align with what the agency is looking for? And then if we decide to move forward, Eileen's 20 questions could be that roadmap for digging deeper and uncovering those hidden clues.
Exactly. It's a holistic approach to bid-no-bid decisions. You're not just looking at the immediate opportunity, you're thinking about your long-term strategy and building those relationships that can pay off big time down the road.
And that's something I really appreciate about this conversation between Eileen and Mike. It really highlights the human element of government contracting. It's not just about paperwork and regulations. It's about understanding the motivations and the needs, and even the personalities of the people on the other side of the table.
Yeah, it's a perspective that I think often gets overlooked. People get so caught up in the technical aspects of bidding that they forget about the importance of building genuine connections.
It's like that saying, people do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Exactly. And that trust can be built through something as simple as providing thoughtful feedback on a bid, even if you know you're not going to win.
It's about demonstrating your value, even in those losing situations. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some key takeaways that you want our listener to walk away with?
Well, I hope they understand that bid-no-a-bid decisions are a lot more nuanced than just saying yes or no. It's a process that really requires research, strategic thinking, and a willingness to look beyond the surface.
And it's not just about winning every single bid. It's about choosing the right battles and making calculated decisions that align with your long-term goals.
Right. Sometimes a strategic no can be just as valuable as a hard-fought yes.
And I think it's safe to say that having a framework like Eileen's 20 questions can make navigating this complex world a whole lot easier.
Absolutely. It gives you that structure for analyzing opportunities, identifying red flags, and ultimately making informed decisions that will set your business up for success.
This has been a really insightful conversation. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on bid-no-bid decisions. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise.
It was my pleasure. Always enjoy diving into these topics with you.
And to our listener, we hope you gained some valuable insights into the art of the bid-no-bid decision. Remember, sometimes the most strategic move is knowing when to walk away. And other times, it's about playing that long game and building those crucial relationships.
So next time you're facing a stack of proposals, take a deep breath. Channel your inner Eileen and Mike. And remember the strategies we talked about today.